The purpose of this web application is to automatically detect if the unit of interest has significant variation at certain time compared with its peers. Here's an example. The question is, does the city, which is called Haparanda, has significant increase or decrease on its productivity, this variable productivity, at year 2006, compared with its similar peer cities? So besides for Haparanda, we have 290 cities for option, and in the beginning we only focus on this city named Haparanda. And then I will explain how our data looks like, and then I will explain what's the meaning of the results, their plot, which is shown here. So our data is, or your data, generally the data is the panel data. What does it mean? It has different city or a different name of their firms, and here is the commune name, and also it's the time series data. The year from here is year from 1999 to 2012 for each city, and also all of their cities has its own ID code, and the variable for them include such as revenue, index market, number of employees, population, and other variables. So after we deliver or submit our settings, I will explain the settings with details later, and the result is here. This blue area, some parts, is the comparable cities, which is quite similar with our city of interest, Haparanda. But even though we can figure out the comparable cities, it's hard to conclude by comparing Haparanda with many, or say multiple peer cities. So these multiple comparable cities are weighted average, or say merged by our calculation as one virtual Haparanda. Now here is the solid line as the real Haparanda, how its productivity variable changed from beginning to the end. And the dashed line represents this virtual Haparanda. And this virtual one is optimized very similar to the real one before the year of the interest, 2006. So that this virtual one is qualifiable, or say good enough, to detect the variation after their in this year of interest. And the modeling and our algorithm is used to adjust the weight of each city. Let's say here for the interested city named Haparanda, I use yellow color to highlight, and this red dark. This city, which is highlighted with the red color, is quite similar to this city, and also he has 0.578 contribution to construct the virtual Haparanda. And and what about other comparable units location? So we use the leaf, this logo leaf, to mark where are they, and also when I click it, the weight is shown. So you can use this way to detect after at some certain year whether this city of interest, or say the firm of interest, has a significant increase or decrease on the productivity, this variable, and also for the exact number of calculated will be shown in this green box. The gaps of 2006, of course, this is their intervention time or their year of interest, and the year after that, and the average value generally is after 3 years from their intervention time, or say the year of interest. And this one, MRC, sits from beginning to the some point, and that generally this year is before their intervention time. I'll explain later. This index is used to adjust the model, and if it's smaller, means before the intervention time, the real one and the virtual one are very close to each other. They are very comparable, and if they are quite large, then we need to doubt or to question whether the current model is good enough. And then you can click the generate report, so these values and the plot will be generated automatically. And I'll come back to explain the details of this first part, the orange boxes. And the first is the treated unit, or say the unit of interest. Let's say you can choose any city that you are interested in, or the intervention time. Generally, let's say in the transfer pricing document, we're only interested in the current year, right? And our comparable, or say the data were used for finding the comparable city as generally the 3 years before the current year. So this part is the clustering, and because we want to find which cities are more, or which firms are more comparable or similar to their treated one. And in this case, we have 290 cities in the donor pool. So I think maybe six clusters in total. And after which variables you think is important to do the clustering, based on which kind of variables. So I choose the number of employees and the productivity. So based on these two variables, to cluster which cities are more comparable to this treated unit. And of course, you could decide which year are taken into consideration. You can choose year before the intervention year, or the year 2 years before that, or some specific year you think is very important. And here we'll as a result, this 21 means how many comparable cities are selected in the end after this clustering analysis. We have 21 comparable units, and you will find they are marked in this map, this blue part and also the red part. Yeah, they are their comparable cities were chosen, but only several of them, or some very comparable cities, are used in the final constructing the virtual operanda. Okay, and then after having the comparable units, we start to constructing this synthetic control unit, means this virtual operanda. And here is our dependent variable, or say which variable you think is the most important, or say you care a lot to find, based on this variable, to find their comparable cities or comparable units. Here in my topic, we are the productivity. And maybe in transfer pricing document, you concern the return of the cost, and also the predictors, or in the comparable compared variables, you may choose like research and development expenses, or net sales, or some other that you think is useful. And matching period is it means from which time point to which point you think is you need to do this calculation or thing, it need to be optimized. And let's say generally in transfer pricing, we care 3 years before their intervention time, also before the year of interest. Another predictors you could add or decide which variables can decide the productivity, or they can explain the productivity. And we think the number of employees in this current city will cause their productivity to a large extent. Also, the population university, this means how many people are educated in the university in this in the Haparanda city, and then you can just submit. So the result is shown here. And now we think the year 2006, it's a very significant decrease. And this part, the right plot, is just the difference between these two lines. It's casual, the absolute difference between these two lines, the real one and the virtual one. And also where their comparable cities locate, and how much they contribute in constructing this virtual one is listed in the map. Okay. And then the last one, the last details in the slider bar. You could also choose your own file. You could click choose file and choose the data file. And the unit ID is, you should tell this app which column represents or denotes the ID code of each unit. Let's say the ID code of each firm. And this is unit name, which variable. Let's say in my data is commune name. Maybe in your data is the name of the firm or the name of other units. And also tell this app which columns represents the time. And in my data it's year. So this is how this one application is used. And I just give a simple introduction to let you know that to detect some sudden increase or decrease of the variable of interest can be automatically done in this simpler way. Or if we have lots of data and we don't need such a friendly user interface, let's say you're not for do the research or the paper publication, we will remove this interface and give a faster result for you and make it more easily used, or give you the results directly instead of this kind of user interface to let you click something. We can do the automatically calculation in a large data set, so you will know in year 2006 or the year of interest which city has a significant increase or decrease compared with its units. And this procedure will automatically do to find the comparable cities and to give you the results which of them. So we just loop all of the cities, and it will tell you which firms has very significant variation in the year of interest. Okay, thanks.